Hi everyone, our journal page. I'm working in this craft paper journal and I'm going to start with gesso and some joint compound. I'm using joint compound which is for walls instead of modeling paste. I prefer to use it. You can use any ready mix paste from the hardware store, even wood filler or a wall compound, joint compound. So here is the joint compound and I'm putting a little bit here, and this is gesso. And first of all I'm just going to put a very not even distressed look layer of this. I like to mix the gesso and the joint compound. Don't know why, it just looks better. So I'm not arguing with something that works for me. So just dipping each time to both of them and going over the page. I'm not concerned if I have areas that are not completely covered. It needs to look not even. Like so. Okay, so first thing is done. I'm going to let this dry and I'll come back. So this is dry. I want to add details to the background, and most of them are going to get covered, but still I want some details. I'm going to use archival ink. I need to use an ink pad with an ink that is permanent, so it won't smear once I use more watery things on top, so it won't smear. So that I'm just using this text stamp, again quite random. Don't know what will be left, what will get covered. I'm just as I said, going around and adding interest. I'm using this like mandala stamp, I don't know what to call it. Really doesn't matter, whatever you've got, use for the added interest. And it's not going to give a great print because I've got here a texture from the modeling the joint compound with the gesso. Let's see. Yeah, and just one more. I've got this one. This one can be a focal image by itself, but I'm using it as added interest to my background. Here we go. And just a little bit more here. Good enough for me. Moving on, I want to make some texture. I've got this stencil, and again I'm going to use the joint compound mixed with the gesso that I have here, and I'm going to move this a little bit aside, or maybe I'll just flip it so I won't get the stencil inside it. I want this one here. You can hardly see it because it's transparent, but let's hope you'll see what's going on once I lift it up. So I'm not great with this kind of thing, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It just, I'm looking for a distressed look. So if it's not perfect, it's good. Okay, here we go. One. I want another one here. And I need to be careful. Okay, yeah. I think this is it. Maybe. I don't know. Do I want more texture here or just this? I'm leaving it be right now. I'm going to clean my stencil. Never ever let a modeling paste or joint compound or anything like this dry on your stencil. So this needs to be dry. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back and I want to add color now, and I'm going to start with my sprays. These are homemade with gel food coloring and water, few drops of the gel food coloring with water, and then I'm testing it. If it's strong enough, then fine. Not, I will just add more. There is no recipe for it. So I'm thinking I'll start spraying. I've got my towel here underneath, and I want some drippage that will go in the texture, and I've already taken out also some watercolors. If it won't be enough the sprays, I'm just playing, and I've used some blue, and now I'm using some brown, and I think I have some purple here. Yeah. So I'm just playing with the colors and letting them drip. And I think I will absorb part of all this drippage. I don't need everything to accumulate here. And I want some green, and you will see in a minute why I'm using these colors. My focal image that is going to come in a minute here has these colors. So that's how I'm going about it. And now I'm letting it drip the other way. Now there isn't much control of all this. Wherever it goes, it goes. But you can take some towel or whatever, or some paper towel, and absorb where you don't like what you have. If you have puddles, you can take away whatever is bothering you. So let's see. I feel like I need more purple, and I want more control over it, so I'm just going to use watercolor and add purple where I think it's needed, and just adding in several places. It's quite random. And I still have a lot of the sprays and it's wet, so I can still tilt my page and I will have again drippage that will go in all this texture, and again dabbing where I don't want it. So this is again just playing, and let's see, maybe a little bit here. I'm thinking, let's see, I'm going to bring the focal image. This is a cutout that I wanted, and usually I don't really like the glossy cutouts from magazines, but this one I really liked, and I thought that it would be fun to incorporate to a page like this, and the contrast will be great. This kind of distressed look versus this immaculate photograph, glossy. So it's going to go here, and let's see, I think I will add a little bit more purple in several places, and maybe a little bit more blue, and just I'm moving this aside. I think I'll add some, it's like magenta. I think I'll just do like this, so I will have little stains of it, just a hint of this color mixing with all that I've got here. So I'm going to let this dry completely. Most of the time sprays and watercolors, when they dry, they fade a little bit, so I want to see how it looks once dry, and then I'll continue. I'll be back. Okay, so I've finished with this. As far as the color in the back, I really like it, and it didn't fade too much. I've glued my focal image. Now I want to draw some stem for this thorn. I think it's a thorn. And I'm using Acrylista by Zig. It's just an acrylic pen, similar to like Posco pens. So it just gives me a little bit more control. I could probably have drawn it with some acrylic paint and a fine brush, but that's okay. So now I want to add more shading and more emphasis to the elements I have got here. I've got, this is an watercolor pencil, black. I'm just going underneath my elements, and I will activate it with a fine brush. Right now I'm just putting it on the underside of each element. Don't know if you can see it. Let's see. I will take a brush and some water in the hopes that you will see what I'm doing. So activating where I've put the black like this, and now it pops more on the page with the shading, like so. So all this texture is going to get some shading underneath. Here we go, like so. So I'm going to work on all this. It's going to take me some time. I'm also going to shade underneath this thorn again, so it would be more noticeable and less flat on the page. So I'm going to continue doing this and I'll be back. So finished shading. I want to give it now highlights. I'm going to use this gilding wax. It's kind of an expensive product that I bought once, and what I'm going to do is just go over where I have texture and just rub it in several places. Now you can do the same thing with gold acrylic paint, just dry brushing over your texture. Maybe I'll even show it. Let's take some gold paint and take a hard bristle brush. Just take a little amount of the acrylic paint, start dabbing it until you almost don't have anything on your brush, and then you just go and basically this is the dry brushing. Now the light is not great right now, and even when there is daylight and sunshine, then all these metallics don't pick up well in video. But I'm going to finish doing this and I'll tilt the page in hopes that you can see what I'm doing, what I've done. So just going over the texture in several places and giving it hints of the gold. Now there is also a way to make your own like gilding wax. I've done a video about it. Of course it's not the same quality, but it's enough for our journaling. So I will leave a link below to that video that shows how to use oil pastels with coconut oil to create something similar to a gilding wax. So here it is, and I'm really hoping that you can see what I've done. I think I'll just, let's move this aside, and here we go. You can pick the glossy of this cutout and the gold on the texture. I'm really liking what all these layers and all the details in the back from the stamping. So this is it. That's my page. I hope you like it, and I hope you will try your hand in doing something like it. Thank you for watching, and thank you for leaving me comments below. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.